Good morning YouTube, and welcome to this episode of the Gunman Raw. So today we've got this Peugeot, I think it's like a 3008 or 3008. Anyway, it's a roof and 2 quarter panel job. As you can see here, there might have been some rust, I don't exactly know. I just took over from the job after it was primed up. And so we're doing that back section of the roof because the rest of it's a piece of glass. And then both quarter panels, and then I've actually got this other grill to do off a separate job. So pretty straightforward job here. And yeah, it's first thing in the morning as of making this video, and I had it all prepped up last night, but I didn't have a booth. I could have got it easily painted yesterday, but the other guys are in the booth. So here we are. I actually had a pretty shitty day yesterday, to be honest. I was meant to be on this respray. I mentioned it in a previous video. That was from last week, how I mentioned soon I'm going to be doing a respray on a black Benz, right? And I've had enough of using white primers on black cars. It just doesn't make sense, especially with the water base. You know, it takes longer to dry between coats, so I think it's more important to get, you know, semi-coverage before you even start painting, you know what I mean? Like, get that shade of primer right, because not every job you don't want to use wet on wet or ground coats on every single job. Like, that just doesn't really make sense to me that you would want to do that, you know? So if you can get the sandable primer the right color, that's a big advantage, you know what I mean? And I've made a few mentions to it in other videos, and some people have said, you know, you can mix up a sandable primer, you can mix that wet on wet up in sanding mode. And I'm like, oh yeah, and look, and I did try it once or twice in the past, and I found that it didn't sand that well. It just seemed to clog up the sandpaper. But then another time I did it, and I left it overnight, and it didn't seem so bad. So I thought, hey, I'll give it another shot, because this is a respray. You know, you're possibly going to save yourself 500 mils of base coat, really. Like, and that's nothing to be, you know, it's nothing to sneeze at. And yeah, it's a respray, so I don't want to go and put wet on wet primer over the whole thing. And the other side of it, like, let's just say this is a shade of primer that they use on pretty much everything, like this light grey colour, you know. You don't want that on a bloody black car. And then why should I have to wet on wet and get wet on wet all through my door jambs, you know? No, I want to go straight down with my top coat colour. Anyway, so I use the wet on wet in sanding mode. I'll throw a photo up in this video. Hopefully I'll remember to do it when I get home tonight. But I'll throw a photo up on screen now so that you can read the formula page and the technical data sheet. On the technical data sheet, it says high build mode or something like that, or high build primer mode. What the hell am I supposed to think that's meant to mean? And then on the computer, on the formula, it's called metal sanding mode. Like, what the hell am I meant to think that is for? You're like, that's. And anyway, the long and the short of it is what you just read is supposedly not meant to be sanding, not meant to be a sandable primer, not meant to be a high build primer. It's meant to be a wet on wet primer, and it says nothing about that. Like, I ticked all the boxes, man. I read the technical data sheets, and they're wrong. They're wrong. Like, yeah, it says metal sanding mode on the computer, mix 4 to 1 to 1 or something like that. I mixed it up exactly, like, I double checked that before I used it, and then they try to tell me, oh no, that's meant to be used as a wet on wet primer only. And it's like, well, why don't you say that? Why don't you say that in the formula, you know? On the can of primer, it just says primer. It doesn't say wet on wet primer only. And I do know, like, there are some brands, like I know Cyrox, right? The Cyrox primers, you've got like a converter, right? So you convert that into wet on wet. So basically my point being is that the precedent has been set in my head that sometimes primers, they can be changed from sandable to non-sanding mode, you know what I mean? And then PPG have one that says sanding mode. Like, what the hell am I meant? But yeah, the long and the short of it is that I primed it up on Monday, baked it out, And then went to start sanding it down yesterday, and it's cheesing up my sandpaper, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here, man? Like, I baked it, I've done everything right, why is it not sanding? Called them up, and they're like, oh no, that's not meant to be a sandable primer. And I'm like, what? Why the hell? Like, that's just insane, man. Like, why would you write it down as a sandable primer? And then I'm like, okay, well, where's our black primer then? And they're like, oh, we don't have one. I'm like, what? You don't have a black sandable primer? And they got like, oh, you can mix up the G shades, G1 to 7 in Basecoat. And it's like, well, you're not saving anything. You know what I mean? Like, let's just say I did mix up the G7. Well, to get a coat of G7 over the entire car, you're gonna need probably 800 mils minimum. And then it's like, well, you're not saving anything. You may as well just put your top coat color down, and then you're back in the camp of, well, why am I putting top coat color over a dark primer? It's strange, and I was really pissed off about that yesterday, to be honest. Had a pretty bad day, so let me know what you think. And I know, now look, I know that there's some Americans out there, and possibly Europeans out there, who will be like, oh no, but you got this primer that is black. We have different products over here in Australia. We've actually got the inferior system from what I can gather. We don't even have the barcode system. So on the back of the color chips and all of that, they've got these barcodes. We don't even have the barcode scanner. So like, yeah, like you should be able to get this barcode scanner and bring those color chips straight up, but we have to like type the long number in on the back. So it just seems a little bit cumbersome. And this PPG is starting to annoy me. Yeah, especially with things like that. It's like, man, the coverage isn't that great, and then you still don't even give me, like, let's just say, like, this is another perfect example, pardon my French. This here, if I had to prime this up by myself, I would have used a white primer, but we don't even have one, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go and put wet on wet over here and have it all over my bloody quarter panel. No. And I don't want to go and put some G1 shade down over here. Same thing, have it all over my quarter panel. No. So it's just seems dated, man. Can't help but feel like this system, it feels like it would have been good 15 years ago, but they've sort of sat on their hands for too long. They're like, oh no, we're all good, everything's fine. Whereas sort of like the industry's sort of moved beyond them. Some of their clears are pretty good, but honestly not as good as Standox. You know, if you go and use the Standox premium clears, man, they lay out so damn glassy. And even the budget line, the standard clear, man, that stuff's really nice. That glass is out like all year round, man. No need to heat it up. Yeah, this video might get a little bit longer, but you know, I had someone leave a comment, I think it was yesterday or today. He's like, man, I would watch like an hour's worth of the Gunman. So yeah, I guess I'm not going to be so hard on myself if the videos do get a little bit longer. I mean, look, and that's not to say that there's nothing that I like about PPG, because this is actually a perfect example of something that I do like about PPG. I've actually found that the 3-stage pearls will hold their gloss a little bit better than Standox, so Standox or Chromax or the Axalta systems. So for whatever reason, like the Axalta system, it really doesn't like going over the top of itself, and well, you can't avoid that with a 3-stage, can you? So yeah, you really want to, with the Standox, you just want to get it right the first time, if you know what I mean. Even with your standard metallics and any colors, really, you just, as soon as you go over the top of itself, it's sort of, it profiles, I guess. So like you got things sitting on top of that nice layer. Jobs do seem to come out a little bit cleaner with the Standox, I found, and yeah, it's you're not fighting your own base coat to get a nice clear coat finish, if that makes sense, because of how heavy you put that Standox down. It just seems like yeah, that's actually part of why the clear goes down so nice, because of the base coat that it's going over. Whereas I think with the PPG, there's a little bit more texture in the base coat, so as I say, you're sort of fighting that with your clear. That's what I think anyway. And I also found, yeah, the jobs do come up cleaner. But yeah, I'll get over it, mate. It just really, I was pissed off yesterday. I needed to vent. I needed to get that frustration out. So thanks for listening to me, guys. I mean, this job here, yeah, like, it's not going to take that much to get in, you know, you'd probably put 2 coats over that if it was white primer, but, you know, you'll have to put 3 coats over it being a light grey primer. So it's not the end of the world, but it seems strange to me that here in Australia they haven't got a solution. It's bizarre, man. And then to put it on the computer, like call it sanding mode, like sandable mode and high build mode, and just, it's bizarre, man. I even did everything that it said. It said something about not using 100% fast reducer, and then it even made reference to batch priming. It's like, well, what's batch priming meant to mean? When you prime up a batch of putty ups at the end of the day, like it said, when batch priming, well, batch priming is when we do a batch of putty ups every night. Like, what am I meant to think that means? Like, so if it is a wet on wet, what are we going to be batch priming with wet on wet, if that's what they say that it is? I mean, it's worded absolutely terribly on their data sheet, man. They need to go back and edit that, I reckon, eh? Alright, so I finished the masking off. I flicked the camera off, obviously, but here we are. Masking's done. I think we did enough masking for that video. Just always inspecting these blends, because like this did sit around the workshop there for half a day, because as I said, I was waiting on a booth. So sometimes people can walk past, get their fingerprints on the blend panels, and we're just spending a little bit more time than usual checking over these blends to make sure they're nice and clean. Now that one there, I already tried scuffing that out, and that's actually a bit of a scratch, so I'm gonna have to leave that, unfortunately. I don't know if you can see it there, but it's like, it's actually broken through the top layer of clear, and I couldn't even get that brown dirt out. So we'll just have to leave that as it is. Another thing you may have noticed is I've been doing that a bit these days, is like rolling up a bit of foam tape and putting it inside any of those holes, because who knows where that hole leads to. It obviously leads inside the cabin of the vehicle, and the last thing you want in there is clear coat, because what can happen, especially with the interior, like the plastic parts, they can statically attract, and they can like draw all the paint towards them. I've seen people paint back panels and boot floors before without masking up properly, and like all of the plastic trims on the car have just attracted the base coat, and it made an absolute mess, big time. So I can't tell you the paint code on this car. I can't remember it. I do apologize about that sometimes, because look, for me, like you look at the bigger picture of me painting this car, I don't spend much time looking at the color code. It's literally a couple of seconds, you know what I mean? So, and the other thing is, it's like, no need in filling your head with all this useless information. Like, how many color codes do I need in my brain, you know what I mean? As long as the color looks okay, that's the main thing. But yeah, I did spectro. I couldn't even find the color code on this car. I did have a look in the door jambs and under the bonnet. It's probably in the boot floor or something stupid like that. But I couldn't even find it, so I just got the Spectro, and then searched Peugeot under Spectro. So you basically use the Spectro to find the color code. I don't know, I don't really trust that Spectro very well. Another thing I'm going to be complaining about, compared to Standox, man, that Standox Spectro is very powerful. The software behind it. That's actually one thing that even the guys from over there in Perth, like the paint routes, he goes, man, the Spectro is easy. That's the easy part. It just takes a few photos. It's always the software, and that's where they sort of stood out. yeah, it's taking a photo, but it's then adjusting that formula, you know what I mean? Little things like that, which that sort of makes them stand out to me, you know. So PPG barely even ever adjust your formula for you. It's only when they're really bad do they actually, oh yeah, that's my little microfiber system there. I've got like a few different boxes. I've got clean, dirty, and medium. So like if I've just done like a small job, I'll put it in the half dirty one, you know what I mean, and then use it on like a fully primed panel, but maybe not a blend panel or something like that. Anyway, let's keep moving on. I'm gas bagging. Actually, I need that again. Getting a bit ahead of myself. I need to do the, so as I said, I've got this is actually off another job, but may as well get it ready at the same time. Tack rag, that's what we're up to now. You may have also noticed I put the clear coat up here in the booth. So I clocked that at 16 degrees this morning with my little temperature gauge. I don't know Fahrenheit, sorry Americans. There was a formula, I can't remember it. It's like something to do with like plus 32 or something like that. Yeah, let us know if you have used like Axalta and PPG. Let me know your thoughts. Like, as I say, like I do actually, 3-layer pearls are one of the few examples of something that's better with PPG. And also, as I say, like I'm pretty happy at this shop, so you know, I can make this work. So don't get me wrong. Like I've got a few gripes with it, and I'm probably especially whinging today because I had a bad day yesterday with it. But it's not that bad. To be totally fair, it's really not that bad. Yeah, it's more than serviceable. Yes, it's a little bit slower. Yes, the colors aren't quite as good. Yes, they don't have black and white primers in Australia, I should add, as I mentioned before. But bigger picture, it's not that bad. And the bosses here, they're not like hounding me, you know what I mean? They're not at my back. It's one of those shops where you are what you make of yourself, if you know what I mean. Like if you want to sort of chill and go slow, there's no doubt they'll be okay with that, but you know, you might find you get a bit of a pay cut. I don't know. I haven't done that. But yeah, I enjoy going fast and just smashing the jobs out, so that's another little chip there. I thought it might have been a smudge, although we do have a smudge there. I'm glad I had an extra look down there. I'm actually thinking of leaving Melbourne. I don't know, it's a bit of a shithole to be honest. And you see people online talking shit about Victorians, and I don't know, when I was over there in Perth I was like, ah, come on, they're not that bad, are they? And then you get back here and it's like, well, you can kind of see what they're talking about, you know what I mean? Like, there's definitely a bit of a, I don't know, people down here aren't quite as friendly. And obviously, in general, there's lots of great people down here, of course, I know that, but on the whole, people aren't very happy down here, and I think a big part of it is just overpopulation. Yeah, they always wanted to be Australia's biggest city. Now you've got it. Now you're a shithole. Good on you, Melbourne. And too many years of bloody stupid left-wing governments. Anyway, let's get to it. Yeah, like man, forget about ever owning a house in Melbourne, man. It like, and I don't know, I can't help but think that that's just to do with too many people being bought here in too short of a time. It's overpopulated. That's the way I look at it. I don't know. Who cares? I'm thinking of getting out of there anyway. That's all I know. I think I did pretty good on the prep work, so there's no little cut throughs here or there, so I know that. That's good. There's low pressure on this ground coat, so I don't want to go in too far. And I did do a spray out on this colour, and 3 coats is what it needs. So the colour's fine, but it needs 3 coats of that pearl. So in between coats, I just get my air blower and stand here for a few minutes. I'll turn you back on when we're ready for the second coat. Alright, second coat, and you probably noticed I'm not going too high with that pressure because I don't want it going everywhere. I don't want this overspray from this ending all the way down here or anything like that. But as I say, like, if that was a white primer, I'd be done after this coat. Less standing around, less waiting for base coat to dry. And look, it's probably covered, but I'm not going to run that risk. My rule of thumb is always get it covered and then put an extra coat on. But if that primer was white, it would look covered after the first coat, you know what I mean? So your second coat would be your insurance policy rather than your third coat. There's little things like that. I just hope they fix it. I hope they get themselves a black and a white primer. Anyway, see you here for the third coat. Alright, last coat of base coat. As I say, like, it looks covered, but this is our insurance policy, just to make sure. Oh yeah, I'm thinking of moving to Adelaide. I've got a friend over there. I actually met him through my YouTube channel, and he's become a good friend. He's got like a furniture polishing or kitchen painting business over there. He's from Melbourne, and he's like, man, Adelaide is so much better. So I'm thinking of following him over there. I don't know, we'll see how we go. I'm not like in any hurry. I don't have to go, but I'm thinking about it. I mean, yeah, I came here to spend more time with my family now, but I guess big part of it's to do with the bloody lockdowns that felt like they were never going to end, but they are over now, so that's why I'm going to give it a bit more time before I go and make my decision. I want to give it maybe another 6 months to a year and then see how we go. Anyway, I'll see you here when we're ready for the pearl. Rightio, so ready for the pearl. This is one thing that I like to do these days. Save myself a bit of time in between coats and all that. I just give the gun a quick rinse out with some water like this. So this is water cleaner. It's like methylated spirits or alcohol like mixed with the water. Just giving the gun a bit of a flush through. And that'll be right to go straight in with the pearl. It saves the gun clean, you know. Just make sure you haven't got any drippy bits that are going to drip onto the panel. Might grab a little rag here. So 25 PSI. I like to leave my pearl coat at the same as I spray my first coat of base coat, usually on a metallic. So
full fluid, 25 psi, and 1 turn in on the fan, but yeah. Well, half a turn, sorry, half turn in on the fan. And then just go like medium wet, just like that. I think I was going to say something, but I'm going to run out of time. I'll see you on the next go. So yeah, I got myself a viscosity cup the other day, and I was using it to measure the clear coat and the thickness of the clear coat. And I'm going to do that again today. But then I decided, hey, I may as well measure the base coat. And another thing, it's going to sound like I'm bitching about PPG again, but on their technical data sheet, it says you're looking at between like 22 and 26 seconds through the cup. And then I measured it after putting 15% reducer in. It was in like 40 seconds. It's like, man, that's a mile out. Like, that's not even anywhere near it. And then to get it down to their recommended viscosity, I have to like put probably 30 or 40% bloody reducer in. It's like, man, you're a mile off. You're not even close. Like, what the hell, man? I don't know. Like, what am I meant to say? Like, at least with the clear, it's like, I don't know, yes, you're looking at 18 to 20, but it might be 25. You're not talking double like the base coat, so it's just bizarre, man. Really, really bizarre. Anyway, I've got one more coat of base coat left. But yeah, like even somebody on Instagram was saying, yeah, you're probably going to need to put like 30% reducer in to get it to be, what was it, like 22 to 26 seconds. And it's like, man, yeah, I agree. But then why on the computer does it say metallic 15%, solid 20%? Like, it's bizarre. I mean, surely they would have done their own test and they would know. But then why does it say on their technical data sheet that you're looking at 26 to 28 or whatever it was, or 22 to 26 or whatever it was? It's just very strange, man. It's like their own technical data sheet, they're way out. It's this very, very bizarre system, man. Anyway, I'm going to blow that off for a few minutes. I might even hit bake for 5 or 10 minutes, just to be sure, because I've got so many coats of that there. Coats of that base coat. Anyway, I'll see you here when we're ready to clear.